This week, the Torah portion is called Pekudei. Pekudei means the sum total of all of the things that took place up until this point, how they were apportioned, and how they were collected, and how it was put together. In this case, the people of Israel were commanded to donate monies of various types, of various objects, for the purpose of making a tabernacle. And this tabernacle was the recipient of a large amount, a large infusion of precious metals and precious objects, and how these things were set up, and how the tabernacle became the vessel for God. So this is a time to make an assessment, to make what is called a sachakol, to try to draw some conclusions from the events that have been taking place in the recent past. I'm not a prognosticator, but based upon the evidence, this country is led by people who are inept, who do not understand the danger of an Islamic republic and a group of Islamic republic states, and has instead assumed that everything is based on economics, and that by buying your way with certain groups, you can get along with them. The problem with that is that Al-Qaeda cannot be bought. Islamic Brotherhood cannot be bought. They will allow you to think that way in order for them to gain power and to get what they want. And if they don't get what they want, they will blow up your buildings. That's how they work. They blew up trains in Spain. They had terrorists in London. They blew up planes over the Atlantic. They don't deal with things over lunch. They're brutal, and they're single-minded, and they only want one thing. They want either you should become Islam or else you die. That's what they want. And this administration fails to see the danger. Because of that, the administration has clearly put Israel in a position of mortal danger. The administration, if Egypt becomes Islamic, and they're prepared for that scenario, then the administration will try to force Israel to remove about 250,000 people who have lived for the past close to 50 years, it's been 43 years, on what is called the West Bank, Judea and Samaria. Now, let me tell you something about what is called the West Bank. Hebron was a Jewish city till 1929. There were large pockets of Arabs, but the center of Hebron was owned and controlled by Jews. Hebron is the city of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In fact, the tomb of the patriarchs does not have Yishmael, the father of the Arabs. It has Isaac and Jacob, who are the fathers of the Jewish people. And Hebron is a Jewish city going back now 3,800 years. Can you imagine a scenario where people who lived in New York City 100 years ago would be prohibited from entering their neighborhoods altogether? That they couldn't settle there, they couldn't live there, couldn't buy a home there, couldn't even rent an apartment there. All of the administered areas controlled by the PLO and by Hamas have no Jews in them. No Jew is allowed to be there. How come? There are over 1.5 million Arabs living in pre-67 Israel today. How does that happen? How does it happen that 1.5 million Arabs can live in peace among Jews, and not a single Jew can live peacefully among Arab-controlled areas? The answer is the true nature of Islam. Prior to 67, 80% of the people living in Bethlehem were Christian. Today, only 20% are Christian. Of course, they blame the Jews. Jews don't live in Bethlehem, and Jews don't administer Bethlehem. Muslims do. And as a result of their policies and their prejudices and outright attacks, Christians don't feel safe and have been moving out, no matter what the Christian religious leaders say. They're afraid for their own lives and the lives of their constituents. The truth is, very much like Lebanon, where there was significant number of Christians. Today, they're just a small part of the pie because they've been effectively chased out and removed from power. By who? By radical Muslims. The Copts in Egypt are in danger of losing their lives. We're talking about several million people. In Pakistan, the one politician who was a representative of the minorities was attacked and killed because he wanted that the blasphemy laws should be removed, that a person should not be killed for dishonoring the Prophet Muhammad. Muhammad was no prophet, my friends. And somebody saying something about Muhammad is not dishonoring him. It's discussing whether or not his policies and his religion are valid for the rest of the world. In Islam, anything that questions the authority of Muhammad is considered an insult. The truth is that anybody who examines the basis of the Quran sees that it's based upon fallacies, imperfect readings of the Bible, and just fantasy. There may be some value to the teachings. There may be some real ethical elements that can be taken from the Quran. And as such, Muhammad is a great teacher in that regard. He brought civilization and ethics to heretofore non-civilized, relatively unethical groups. However, he is not my prophet, and in my opinion, not a prophet at all. The only prophecies he made was when he threatened the lives of those cities that he was about to attack, and surprise attack, he killed them. That's saying that Hitler was a prophet because he prophesied that he would destroy certain parts of Europe. Well, until 1945, maybe he was a prophet, according to your definition. And maybe he still is a prophet, because he died just as Muhammad died, treacherously. He died in his own hand, of course. Muhammad was killed. Of course, legend has it that he rode on a horse, Barak, and went past Al-Quds, the Temple Mount. And that's another story. So here's my bottom line. Israel will have to say no to Obama, plain and simple, because Israel cannot allow its head to be placed on the chopping block. The fact that Egypt will now be an Islamic controlled government does not make Israel more secure by giving up more land. The only way that Israel can be secure is if its so-called peace partners are democratically elected and believe in principles of the Constitution of the United States or some form of human rights. A group of people who deny basic rights to all other people except for its own kind is not a group you can negotiate with. Remember Neville Chamberlain? He thought he could negotiate with Hitler. Obama thinks that Neville Chamberlain was on the right track, except he just didn't do it enough. He just didn't appease Hitler with enough place, enough territory. You know the definition of insanity. We have it today. It's called Obama.